What's up, YouTube? It's Peter. I wanted to do a quick walkthrough of my 2017 JKU Rubicon edition. This rig's my daily driver, so as I've gone through my build, I've made a lot of decisions to make it, a little more comfortable as a daily driver, but also really capable. I want it to be able to do trails like the Rubicon and Slick Rock and Fordyce and some of the more challenging trails here in California. All right, starting at the front of the rig here, this is the Barricade HD Adventure bumper. I like this bumper. It allows me to keep my factory fog lights. It's got 2 rescue points and a little bit of a bull bar with some tabs on the top where I can add additional lights if I'd like to. I'm running the Warn VR10 with steel cable. I'll be looking to probably get synthetic this year. It's a little safer. And then recently put on this cover. This cover is really cool. It's from Warn. It's supposed to not fade and holds up really well to the elements, kind of protecting your winch, but also allows you to run your winch while it's still got the cover on it. So pretty quick and easy access for the trail. Over here on the side, I can get in, plug in my controller unit, and run the clutch. So pretty cool design. Seems to fit really snug, which I like quite a bit. And you also notice here, I've got a trail cam, so I've got a system from Brand Motion. We'll take a look at that when we get inside the Jeep. But this wide view camera allows me to actually see the very edges of my front wheels, which is great. So when I'm on obstacles, I can get a pretty good sense of where they are. And then looking under here, I'm running the TerraFlex HD tie rod drag link and their ball joints. And then I've also got the ARB diff cover. I really like this diff cover. It's got strong magnets to keep things away from your gears. Allows you to maybe hold a bit more fluid, and it's real tough. It's not going to get snagged and dump diff fluid all over the trail. So really nice upgrade there too. And then coming down the side, I recently installed the Smittybilt XRC fender flares, and then their matching inner fender liner. Really like the look, and it's going to get me a lot of clearance. Right now I'm running 35s on a Mickey Thompson rim. In the future I might be looking to get to a slightly bigger tire, so this fender flare would allow me to flex up and probably take, I would imagine, about a 38-inch tire without doing any additional mods to the fenders or creating more clearance. Then up here on my A-pillar, I've got a mount for 2 Bajas. So I've got the Squadron Sports up here. The top one is a driving combo. The bottom one is a flood pattern, so I kind of use it a little bit like a ditch light, and they sit pretty nicely on this little mount right on my A-pillar. Then down here, I've got the Barricade rock sliders. I took off my factory Ruby rails. You can run the Ruby rails with this slider, and I do like it, but it is my daily, and this ends up being a little bit better step when I've got the sliders off. And I was getting a little bit of rub in the back here against my tire when I was at full flex with the stock Ruby rails, so it was time for them to go. And then coming around the back, I've got the matching XRC fender flares and inner fender liners in the rear. Into the back of my rig here, probably one of the most functional upgrades that I've had is the Smittybilt XRC Gen 2 rear bumper, and I paired it up with their tire carrier as well. So, it is my daily driver, and with my wife driving it occasionally as well, I didn't want a multi-step gate to carry my tire. So this one's actually integrates right in with the gate. So open it up, swings right open with my tailgate, and no problem. I've had no rattles or anything so far. It's been really great. Closes right back up. And then this bumper is actually tow rated, which is great. So it's a class 3 trail hitch. It can tow actually a slightly higher capacity than I could when I was stock. And then you can see it's got the 2 rescue points. It's also got this carve out here, which fits a high lift jack perfectly. So I've had to use that a few times, and if you've used a high lift jack, you know that they can be a bit sketchy. So this really locks it in pretty tight and lets me lift it up pretty safely. It's also got these plastic pieces on the outside, so as you're coming off of things, if you slide down and catch your bumper, you can actually replace those and keep it looking good. And then it's got the rear tail lights here, so you can integrate these into your backup system. I have not actually run them on their own switch, so I can turn them on and off on the trail as I need to. And then coming over here, you can see I've got the high lift jack mounted with the base and my radio antenna here. Comes with a bottle opener, which is of course handy on the trail, and then the Rotopack mounts. So you can see those are there. So really good design. It's kind of a Swiss Army knife. It came with all the hardware for mounting the high lift jack. The antenna fits right on perfectly, and then it's got a brake light relocation, so it'll pop the brake light up over and hold up to a 38-inch tire. And then of course came with the Rotopacks as well. Well, the mount, not the packs themselves. All right, so let's look at the kitchen setup in the back of the Jeep. This has been a great upgrade. So this is the front runner tailgate table. And one of the things I really like about it is it's a one-handed operation. So I can have my hands kind of full and still easily operate this. It's really quiet in the drive, like I don't hear it rattling or anything like that. Of course, we've got a little extra workspace for food prep and everything. It's rated to hold, I believe, 80 pounds, so it's a pretty solid unit. I can put things on it, it's really handy. So great camp setup. And then the other nice thing is that we also have our Rotopacks right here, so we've got our water right by us for utility and for cooking if we need it. And then we've even got this Westie spout for the water, this kind of spigot. So it's working out pretty good for us. It's a good setup. Right, and then looking at how we pack, we have a few different options depending on what kind of trip we're taking. This right here is a sleeping platform that I've built, so we'll take a look at that in a second. And then we've added in this shelf, and the shelf's pretty handy. It's also a little bit more of a workspace if we need it when we're working with the kitchen, but it also can easily hold any of these totes. So we can put those up and put things under. We can use these holes to be able to bungee cord everything down, so when we're on the trail it's not moving around. So it's been a pretty good setup. And then on the roll bars, we've got our power tank for airing up. We've got our fire extinguisher for emergencies in case we need it. And then we took headlamps and we've got them on our back headrests here just to add a little additional light if we need it. Eventually we'll probably end up getting a tailgate light, but for now that's working just fine for us. Right, so when we're getting ready to create our sleeping platform, we pull out the bins, which we can either move somewhere else inside the Jeep or stack onto this shelf if we'd like. And we get to the two pads down here. So these two pieces become our completely flat platform, and they cover that Jeep trench that you create between the back of the Jeep and the seats when they're folded down. And then under here we also have a little bit of room for storage, so we typically keep our utensils, our stove, and some of our cook stuff underneath this. So let's see how this works. Just like that, we've got a nice flat sleeping surface. We also have a 3-inch thick memory foam mat that we've custom cut to fit the back of the Jeep, so it's pretty comfortable. And then as you can see, we can use this shelf while we're in the Jeep. Our feet go underneath it at night, and then on the top here we can keep the Yeti for charging things. We can have our lights, a heater. It's kind of like our nightstand in the Jeep while we're sleeping. All right. So looking at the space here from inside the Jeep, on the side here, I don't know how well you can see that, but we've got a roll bar bag, and we actually have a pair of them, so we can do one on each side. So when we're out, we can pack clothes and stuff into one. We put emergency gear, jump start kits, some extra D-rings, things like that in the other. So we've got all those things kind of out of the way. And then what's nice is, with this being our sleeping platform, in the morning we wake up, usually nice and warm in the Jeep. But we've got all of our clothes and everything right within reach, which is really great. Into the cockpit here, this is kind of how we have our communications set up. One of the things that I really like that I'd mentioned earlier was we have a trail cam system from a company called Brand Motion. and it actually integrates into the Rubicon stock deck because I can display a screen. So if I want to turn on my rear camera, as I go into reverse, you can see that I've got the rear cam. It uses my, peeks out through my spare tire. This really makes the Jeep so much more drivable. As you probably know, the JKs didn't come with an option with a backup camera. And so this really helps. By the time you throw those Rotopacks and a big spare tire in the back, I really can't see out of the back of the rig. The other thing that I really like about this deck is that I can cycle from back camera to front camera as well. So that's rear, which I can drive with it on if I would like, or I can switch it and I can view the front camera and I can see the corners where my tires are. It's got such a wide view. So I'm actually on an obstacle pretty comfortable knowing where my tires are based on being able to see them with the trail cam. So I really like that piece. And then as far as radio, we run the ICOM 2730. I really like this unit. The faceplate detaches, so the actual radio itself is underneath me, but the faceplate sits up here. And we've got it sitting the mic onto a Jeep Unique mount that holds my Garmin InReach and my controller, or my radio handle for communication. So really nice setup there. It integrates really well and hooks right onto my grab bar, which is just great. So everything's right in reach. And then right up here I can run my iPhone in this holder and be able to video from the dash if I'd like to, or just have a good heads up for Gaia, things like that as we're out on the trail. And then another thing is I actually ran the wire for this faceplate through my dash. So it comes up behind the unit here. So when I'm not using it, I can take the faceplate off and tuck this wire away, and you'd never really know that it was even there. So really nice and easy to do, and kind of turn it back into daily driver mode. A couple other features on the inside. So as you can see here, I've got these two switches next to my lockers and my sway bar disconnect. These two switches run the Baja beam. So the outside one runs the driving combo, and the inside one runs my floodlights. So it's worked out pretty well. It's pretty easy to get to, and fairly hidden away. I'm not running an S-Pod or anything yet, so this solution works pretty good for just running a couple lights. And then I also have a pin switch back here where I can run my rear bumper lights from the Smittybilt bumper. And then one other piece that I really like is the Smittybilt gear. It's like a molly for the back of your seat. And so in here I've got D-rings, I have a first aid kit, we've got our air up, air down. I keep pocket knife, several other things that are just really handy when you jump out and you need them. And I also keep the air hoses for the power tank in that bottom flap there. Then it's good to talk about the underside of the rig as well. We all put a lot of work into our Jeep all around, and underneath is no exception. So we've got an adjustable rear track bar from Rough Country there. I'm running a 3-inch Terraflex lift. And with that lift came the need for an adjustable front and rear track bar. And then you can see I'm missing the stock Jeep muffler. So I've got an AFE high tuck exhaust. So it dumps out really nice and high right underneath my bumper. One of our last trips, I actually rearranged my tailpipe a bit on a rock. And so it was time to switch out that. With the AFE, we also get a really nice exhaust sound, which I like. So the Jeep sounds great as well. I've also, you can probably see there, I've got the Metal Cloak evap relocation kit right there. So now my evap is nice and high, tucked above my axle. There's no way I'm going to hit that on a rock. And then you've already seen I've got the ARB diff covers front and rear. And then up front I've got the Smittybilt XRC full skid for the engine and transfer case. And then now that I've relocated the evap canister, you can see I've got a lot of space under here, so I'm not too worried about banging things against rocks the next time that we're out. And that is the walkthrough of my 2017 Rubicon JKU. If you got any questions on anything that you saw in the build, or kind of how I've gone about doing my build, please feel free to ask in the comments and we'll answer them right away. And please subscribe and like. We're really trying to grow our channel, and your support would help us a bunch. Till next time.